Identity theft is on the increase in South Africa. It is estimated to be costing the country more than R1 billion a year. This week, we expose a sophisticated syndicate targeting black male professionals.
These criminals we are dealing with, they are not ordinary criminals. They know what they are doing.
This is Checkpoint, and I'm Mlangeni. Imagine waking up to discover that you're the owner of a luxury vehicle you never bought and that you're in serious arrears. In the past year or so, several black professionals have been living this nightmare. Their identities were stolen by a syndicate police believe is linked to Radovan Krejcir. It's a syndicate so complex more than 30 arrests have been made across the country.
These criminals we are dealing with, they are not ordinary criminals.
Police say vehicles worth millions have been stolen, along with the identities of several black male professionals.
All of the vehicles they buy, they're worth over 500,000.
Making it all the more colorful is the suspected involvement of Czech fugitive Radovan Krejcir. This week, we expose an elaborate scam targeting law-abiding citizens, businesses, and banks. In late February, Czech fugitive Radovan Krejcir's wife Katarina was arrested. Police say they found a stolen VW Amarok at one of the couple's properties. Katarina was apprehended while attending her husband's court case. Radovan is facing charges of kidnapping, assault and attempted murder. 2 months ago, the car theft charge against his wife was withdrawn due to insufficient evidence. But her lawyer, who declined to give us a television interview, believes the charge may be reinstated. Krejcir has been implicated in drug dealing, torture and murder, so the car theft allegations seem to come out of left field. Police say this man is the connection. 40-year-old Sifiso Maduna from Pimville, Soweto, is a serial offender with 6 previous convictions. He's currently serving 15 years in prison for fraudulently purchasing a VW Amarok that investigators say links him to the Krejcirs.
The vehicle we found in Radovan's property, it was registered under his name.
Police believe Maduna is a runner in a sophisticated car and identity theft syndicate that supplies Krejcir's empire. When pleading guilty in the Vereniging Magistrates Court, Maduna testified that on the 15th of October 2013, a friend of his by the name of Sipo gave him a profile and documents of a Dr. Mbalati. He says he used these documents to make an application to buy a car. On the 17th of October 2013, he received a call informing him that his application had been approved. He has denied knowledge of where the vehicle ended up. He says his role was to buy and deliver the car for 10,000 rand. Police say in such crimes, the foot soldiers never know who they're actually working for.
Within an organized crime activity or syndicate, there is a pyramid. You will have your runners, who will be individuals who will go and steal identities of innocent South Africans. At the end of the day, hand over this to a middleman.
The ring appears to have tentacles in the licensing department, insurance companies and banks. We found a car dealer who was hit 5 times. He's petrified by the alleged Krejcir link and requested that we conceal his identity.
When did they start targeting your dealership?
It was approximately in August of 2013.
And what happened?
Usual customer wanting a certain car, doing an application, being approved, did validations, and came and fetched the vehicle they wanted to purchase. The car was delivered and everything was hunky-dory, and then afterwards the banks phoned us and asked us, do we know anything about this customer? Can we give them more information? What we had, we gave it to them, and then they realized, but here's some scam behind this whole deal.
At the time, the car was gone.
The car was gone.
And which car was this? Well, what did they start with, and how much was it worth?
They started with a Toyota Land Cruiser, and approximately 450,000.
So that's money you can never recover?
That's money you can never recover, yes. Because the insurance companies, they won't cover you on fraud.
The next car was a Merc and then a Nissan Navara. It was after the third sale that his employees picked up a pattern.
They come with a temporary license, and the license is done at a certain registration office
In Gauteng.
And it's very close to the day of the deal.
Explain to us why they use a temporary license.
On your permanent license, your fingerprint and your signature is printed. And we've got a machine that the banks gave us, and there we can do a scanner. We do the scanning, and on that machine it shows me your picture, and it shows me your ID, it shows me who you are, and then I can see. But on the temporary license it doesn't do it.
That's the critical thing, the picture, hey?
Yeah, the
because
picture.
they steal somebody's identity, but the picture is not that person.
That's not that person. That's not that person. No, for sure.
Also the signature, why the significance?
On an ordinary bank contract, there's approximately 40 plus places that you've got to sign. And if you are going to try to make a fraudulent hand signature, to do it 40 times, that's not easy.
Because the vehicles are expensive, they steal the identities of professionals who earn good salaries and have clean credit records.
Not once have we received anybody that was blacklisted on ITC. It's always a person there with a very good credit record, very good income, a good address. They don't want you to go and scratch. They don't want you to go and investigate. Everything must just go fluently.
This is exactly why BHP Bulletin technician Sifiso Maduna was targeted. Before his identity was stolen, he had a squeaky clean credit profile. Since the attack, however, he's had to fight and spend money to clear his name.
This person started actually around about December last year to target me with everything, because he knows his business, he knows what he was doing.
He says the criminal registered with TransUnion, previously known as ITC, pretending to be him.
I didn't know anything about TransUnion. And then every move that I make, he was able to see it and to target, because he knows my account number and everything. So I had to go to TransUnion to gain the access back first before the damage is further done.
So Sifiso, then it became your burden to prove that you're you.
Yes, it was my new baby that was born. The South African fraud line gave me a password to use whenever I apply to buy a car or a house or anything, stuff like that, so that they know it's really me for about 10 years. Actually, they asked me how many years do I want to put. I said 10 years.
You'll understand that these criminals we are dealing with, they are not ordinary criminals. They know what they are doing. They specialize in theft of motor vehicle. They are working, of course, with officials. They make fraudulent ID books. They make a fraudulent bank statement. They make a fraudulent insurance document. The bank will realize after, say, 2 or 3 months, when the payment is not coming to them, then is when we'll be involved.
Do you know Radovan Krejcir?
Radovan Krejcir? No.
Have you read about him? Have you seen him on TV?
No, not at all.
You don't know who he is?
No, I don't know. I don't have an idea.
4 men have so far been convicted, and police have arrested several Krejcir-linked individuals in connection with the scam. They include Bulgarian national Lubomir Grigorov, who was injured during a bomb blast in November last year at Krejcir-linked business premises Moneypoint in Bedford View. Grigorov is believed to be Krejcir's right-hand man. Then there's Pakistani national Ghulam Mustafa, and the brother of Krejcir's suspected lover Marissa Christopher, seen here accompanied by his mother at the Commercial Crimes Court in Pretoria. All of them are facing charges linked to stolen vehicles, allegedly bought through the scam. Apprehending the runners is the easy bit. Police will have to convict the kingpins in order to destroy the syndicate, and they have their sights firmly set on South Africa's most famous foreign fugitive.
Next, has identity fraud become an easy crime to commit? And are banks and the police struggling to keep up with the criminals? It's been described as the white-collar crime of choice in South Africa, yet banks insist they're doing everything they can to protect us from identity fraud.
In the South African context, identity theft per se is not a criminal offence. It's the fraud that follows that is usually responded to through a criminal investigation. Unfortunately, criminals make it their business to study business processes, and as soon as banks put new measures in place, they're the first to find out how it actually works, and they then study the processes in order to see how they can actually circumvent them. Whilst it might appear easy at the moment, rest assured that there are measures, and most certainly that there are improved measures that are always being looked at. I don't believe that there are too many loopholes in the system. I believe that the problem is a different one. We need to acknowledge that we are dealing with organized criminals, and we need to understand that they have many skills available to them, and they use those skills. They are able to reproduce documents at a quality that is extremely difficult for any expert to actually differentiate between the forgery and the real document. And we need to understand that it's not opportunistic crime, it's organized crime. One of the important things is actually taking note of what's happening out there as you are sharing in this program. If you understand what criminals can do with your information, then of course you're better positioned to actually understand how you should protect yourself. Very important also to watch your credit record. If somebody makes an application purporting to be you, it will be picked up by the credit bureaus. So every now and again, and I think they give you a free check once a year if I'm not mistaken, go and pull your own credit record, and if there's any application that was made that you know wasn't done by you, you need to contact that business and tell them that that is a transaction or an activity that you dispute. I do not believe that FICA is useless at all. I think it's an excellent process and regime that was implemented in order for banks to make it compulsory for customers to give them certain data sets so that they know who they're doing business with. What we need to again acknowledge is that we're speaking about organized criminals who circumvent whatever good measures are being put in place. It's a consistent challenge to keep up with the criminals, and I would like to think that in some instances we are actually ahead of the criminals, not only having to keep up with them. The reality though is that there could possibly be a whole lot of people with bad intent watching this program. They make it their business to understand what's happening from a commercial perspective, and from where we sit at Sabric, we actually see this. We see how crime trends follow business trends.
When we return, does the controversial Feed a Child advert highlight the need for transformation in the advertising industry in South Africa, or a need for national healing? According to the Advertising Standards Authority, in the past 3 years, there has been a sharp decline in the number of complaints over racially offensive material broadcast in South Africa. But the recent Feed a Child campaign has highlighted once again how some among us remain oblivious to the sensitivities that still exist 2 decades into democracy. Producer Megan Lupka interrogates this multi-billion rand industry.
This advert by NGO Feed a Child was designed to demonstrate the diabolical degree of hunger some South African children experience. Instead, the depiction of the black boy as a dog sparked national outrage. The ad was sponsored and created by advertising agency Ogilvy and Mather, who refused to be interviewed by Checkpoint. The CEO of Feed a Child, Elsa Rotenbach, also refused to speak to us, but had this to say to ENCA's Iman Rapetti.
From Feed a Child's side, we don't look at color.
Do you get why people would react in such a way?
Yes, we do understand it. We didn't think it's going to be the reaction, but now that it is there, we do understand why people, I do get their points of view as well.
Were you able to test an audience? Were you able to test the advert on an audience and see what kind of reaction? I mean,
no, we didn't consult widely. We didn't.
I would venture to say that perhaps that was a mistake.
Yes, it was.
On Twitter, the campaign was labeled tasteless, racist, and inhumane. Feed a Child first altered it, then apologized, and then attempted to drive the debate already raging across the country.
I do understand that this advert can have a negative connotation. But what if this advert changed a child's life? What if this advert changed 3.5 million children's lives? What if this was your child going to bed hungry tonight, and this advert can change that?
The Advertising Standards Authority says it received 12 written complaints about the ad before it was pulled. It takes only one objection from the public for the organization to hold a hearing. In this case, they demanded a written response from Feed a Child and ad agency Ogilvy and Mather.
They came back to us to say, we have removed the ad, we are no longer going to use that ad, we also have apologized to the public.
So, what criteria is used to deem an advert racist or offensive?
We have to look at it holistically. We have to look at what they're trying to communicate. Have they communicated that in a way that is not offensive? And our standard you would have to use is the reasonable person out there who's not oversensitive, who's not hypercritical. But of course, a reasonable person in South Africa may be different from a reasonable person in Australia, for example. So we also look at the environment.
According to market research company AC Nielsen, the advertising industry rakes in more than 30 billion rand a year. While earnings have grown exponentially, prominent executives say racial transformation is moving at a snail's pace. Groovin Nchabeleng studied advertising at AAA. Today, he owns a franchise of international ad agency Leo Burnett. Former print journalist Victor Dlamini is chairman of Chilibush Communications.
I was surprised when I saw the ad. I was like, but honestly, who would have the gall to portray a black child as a dog?
We have not achieved and attained the goals that we have set as a country. And it's about social cohesion. So we're talking about social cohesion in a country where there's so much fragmentation.
The advertising industry as a whole has largely failed the transformation test. And I think that, sometimes it's easy to look only at advertising and say, well, how is it doing? But my sense is that broadly, South African companies have struggled with the issue of transformation.
We solicited the opinion of one of the original architects of our new democracy during an in-depth interview about the state of our nation.
The intention was good.
Is that what matters to you, the intention?
The intention is good, my dear. In raising money to feed, especially the starving children. And those starving children, the majority of them are black children.
A perspective from a South African who has committed his entire life to building a united nation.
That's all from us this week. We leave you with these thoughts from ordinary South Africans trying but struggling to make the Rainbow Nation work.
I really get offended when a white person swears at me with my own language, like that's not on.
In South Africa, we still have a problem with racism. It might not be openly blatant, but it's definitely underlying. And you get it from black people a lot as well, that when they see you with a black girl, they obviously get angry or aggressive, and they're saying, like, what are you doing with our girl? And that obviously is offensive. And I think we should be over that right now.
Well, they always ask us about our hair, if it's real or not, and sometimes it really gets annoying.
Tune in next week for our full interview with one of the last remaining Rivonia Trialists as he opens up about the pain corruption in the ANC is causing him.
This is not what we went to prison for. This is not what those who died for us died to see these things happening. No. Now, those are some of the things which are disappointing and make me sick.